My name is Aryeh Ben Yaakov. I'm going to talk to you today. I live here. This is my home. You may have noticed we're on top of a mountain here. We are 850 meters up in the air. And for those of you who are decimally deficient, that's 2,700 feet. And you're welcome to join the rest of the world. Now,
It's true though.
I know it is. It's pathetic. Anyway. No, it is. Feet, inches. It's absurd. Anyway, you may have noticed that our weather up here is far different than down below. And we love that. In the winter we get snowed on, a good ½ meter of snow. And we love that as well. These mountains are called the Mountains of Naphtali, from the tribe of Naphtali in the Upper Galilee. And we are here at the very end of the mountain range. These are cliffs here. Now, you've been bouncing around in the bus, up and down, back and forth, left and right. I suggest orientation so you'll know where the rest of the world is in relation to where you guys are sitting. To that end, north is out there. And north of us is Lebanon, Syria, Turkey, Russia, North Pole. We go quick here. Out there in the haze is a big mountain, half right, out there. 3 weeks ago there was still snow up there. That's called the and that's in Syria. The bottom third is blocked by, your view is kind of blocked by the trees out there. But in any case, the bottom third is the beginning of Israel's Golan Heights and our Helmon, where we do the skiing in the winter, if it's possible. Now, east is to your right, and east of you, down from these mountains, down below valley, up again, Golan Heights. The Golan Heights geologically is a plateau that goes on for thousands of kilometers eastward. And it goes through Syria, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, then there's a range of mountains, Pakistan, India. 50 miles inland on the plateau, almost directly opposite us, is the capital city of Syria, Damascus. Here at kibbutz Misgavam, we are equal distance between Damascus and Haifa, and more or less equal distance between Tel Aviv and Beirut. So for this morning, you can consider yourselves as being in the middle of the Middle East. Behind you is south. South of us is Tzfat. Down below is the Kinneret, Tveria. Further south is Yerushalayim. Further south on a straight line is Eilat. Red Sea, East Africa, South Pole. West is therefore out here. West of us is Lebanon, Mediterranean, Europe. Now on a clear day, visibility-wise, we have a clear unobstructed view of the sea. From here, 2,700 feet up, down to the sea is straight down, and we can see the sea on the horizon. We see the ships out there. We are directly opposite the Lebanese coastal city of Tyre. Now what that means, as you all know, or maybe you don't know, but you do now, the northern border, the official border crossing between Israel and Lebanon is at Rosh Nikra. And Rosh Nikra is way the hell down there, 50 miles away to the southwest. And what we have here, in essence, is a peninsula of Israel. If my thumb is Rosh Nikra, and this is the Mediterranean, the border goes straight across almost to Tzfat, and then it comes up north. And we're up here on the top. And this is called Etzba HaGalil, the finger of Galilee. And in essence, it divides Syria from Lebanon. Now, as you look out there and you see that haze, you need to understand that is what we call humidity. That's not smog, that's water vapor. And because we're up here like this, we can see it down there. Today's a very especially humid day, and that's humidity. Now, this finger of Galilee. The northernmost point in Israel is down below us between the trees. At the beginning of the valley, to see all the orchards, and then it goes to a barren hill, and to the right of that is a large red and white antenna. Can everybody see that? That is Metula. And Metula is the northernmost point in Israel. Metula has been there since 1890. Our kibbutz is from 1945. The kibbutz down below, Kfar Giladi, is 1902. What I'm telling you in essence is that this whole area of the northern Galilee was settled in the modern era by the Jewish people before the state of Israel on legally owned purchased land. The Jewish National Fund has been operating for over 100 years. And Jewish people have been donating money, and the Jewish National Fund had been buying land in the time of the Turks as well. You need to understand that this whole area of the Middle East, for close to 500 years, was the Syrian province of the Turkish Ottoman Empire. There were no sovereign countries here. The villagers did not own the land they worked and lived on. We're talking about serfdom. We're talking about large Arab or Turkish landowners. The villagers didn't own the land. They're all serfs. At the end of the First World War, the French and the British divvied up the Ottoman territories, and the French created Lebanon out of western Syria, and the British created Palestine out of southern Syria. You need to understand that never in the history of the world has there been a sovereign country called Lebanon. There have never, ever in the history of the world been a sovereign country called Palestine. There are no such people as Lebanese or Palestinians, or Jordanians for that matter. They're all Syrians. In my definition, in any case, don't get me wrong, we live in a democracy. People can call themselves whatever they want. What I don't want you people thinking is that the Palestinians and the Lebanese and the Jordanians are some kind of ancient people that have been here for millennium and the big bad Jews came and kicked them out. That's bullshit. You need to know the truth. And the truth is that it was all part of the Ottoman Empire, the Syrian province thereof. After the First World War, the Arabs wanted a pan-Arab state. From Saudi Arabia and Egypt up to Iraq, one state. The French and the British wouldn't let them have it. And they shot it down in Versailles. In the same way the Kurds got shot down, in the same way the Basques got shot down. Pan-Arabism was shot down by the colonial powers. In the meantime, even in the time of the Turks, Metula is there from 1890, nobody stole anything from anybody. The Turks thought that the Jews coming back to the Holy Land was a good idea. You need to understand, the Turks didn't call this area Palestine. That the British invented that. This was the Holy Land, or South Syria. The Turks thought it was a good idea that the Jews came back, and they allowed the Jewish people to purchase land. We have the deeds to this mountaintop. The people in Metula have the deeds to their land. Everybody up here has the deeds to their land. Even the valley down below, which was all swamps and marshes, was legally purchased, and we have the deeds. This area of the Upper Galilee is part of the original Jewish state authorized by the United Nations in 1947. Nobody stole anything from anybody. Now I'll go even one step further and tell you another fact. Not a single Jew lived anywhere in Eretz Yisrael not on Jewish-owned property. Nobody stole anything from anybody. We didn't steal their land, we didn't steal their homes, we didn't steal their country. They never had it. 1948, we declared independence without borders. The Arabs refused the partition plan and declared war. And we have been fighting them ever since. And that's the truth. And it's written, and you can look it up and find it. I'm not talking about Wikipedia, and I'm not talking about Twitters, and I'm not talking about blogs, and I'm not talking about Facebook, where anybody can say anything. Go to the archives and find the truth. Yeah. Newspapers are written, Library of Congress is there, the archives of the United Nations. Find the truth. Don't be trendy and believe the bullshit that's running around in the streets. We were prepared for compromise. The Arabs were not. And they have never been. And they aren't now. Truth. Not all Arabs, that's absurd. Not everybody's a terrorist. Not everybody hates Israel. The people who are running things in this area, they do. They do. And you need to understand that. Pardon?
תספר על מה שהיה פה במשגב עם.
מה במשגב עם?
שהיה פה עם ה...
זה ב-80, כן. תן להגיע. He's jumping ahead. In any case, there are three things that make our kibbutz totally and absolutely unique in all of Israel. Number one, we are the only place in Israel where you can sit here like you're doing and have this panoramic view of three countries. Syria, Israel, Lebanon. And Lebanon is behind us. All the way around, we are surrounded on three sides by Lebanon. Save, if I haven't answered it at the end.
מה עם מיצר? מיצר רואים את ירדן ואת סוריה ואת ישראל.
Okay, sorry. No, he's corrected me properly. There's another place there where you can see Israel, Jordan, and Syria. Okay. As far as Lebanon is concerned, no, I accept that. I accept that. No argument. He's right. But this is the only place that you can see Lebanon, Israel, and Syria. Now, because we're in the end of the mountains, and we're up here on the cliff, it's a very strategic location. The second thing that makes us unique is that we share our kibbutz with the Israeli military. They live here with us on the kibbutz. This is not for mobile telephone use. The little white camera there on the black pole, can you see it? Mm-hmm. The little white, far more sophisticated than what we can watch in the toilet. And much more sophisticated than it appears to be. There's another one up there on the top of that pole. There are all sorts of other devices and antennae and all kinds of other metallic stuff. Don't ask me what they do, I won't tell you. Mainly because I don't know myself, and what I can't know, what I don't know, I can't blab about. But the troops that operate this stuff live here. That makes us unique as a civilian kibbutz. The third thing that makes us absolutely, totally unique, if I'm wrong, correct me. This is the only place in the country that the perimeter road you guys drove up on is the border of the country. Here at Kibbutz Misgav Am, the border between Israel and Lebanon is that fence number 31 on the lamppost. You see the shrubbery on the other side? That's Lebanon. When you go back to the bus, you stick your finger through the fence, your finger's in Lebanon. That's as close as you're going to get. Now, tell you a little bit about our kibbutz, and then we'll go into the neighborhood. We have 250 people here, 220 people here on a daily basis. We have 75 members. We have 30 residents, people who work in the area, but they live here. It's a beautiful place, and they want to raise their children here with our children. And we have 120 students from the University of Tel Chai. I hope it was pointed out to you, the university down there, opposite Kfar Giladi. It's a big university, a good university, and thousands of students from all over Israel study there. The problem is there are no dormitories on campus. And so the students have to find accommodations in the area. In Kiryat Shmona, in Metula, in the kibbutzim and moshavim in the area. And we have 120 of them that live with us up here. It's very conducive to study up here. There aren't too many distractions. Hold it, save it for later. Our agriculture is down below, all of our field crops. Up here on the top we keep chickens. And you may have noticed new plantings on the hilltops. And that's vineyards, grapes for wine. Turns out Israel produces really good international quality wine, believe it or not. And we're growing grapes. We don't make the wine, we sell the grapes to the winery. And that's our income, really. The other thing we have income from is tourism, like you guys. But that tourism is, of course, dependent upon the neighbors. Now let's get into the neighbors. This area of Lebanon is called South Lebanon. This is the home of the Hezbollah. I hope and I'm sure that all of you have heard of the Hezbollah. If you haven't, you should be ashamed of yourselves, because they are your deadly enemies, not only as Jews but as Americans. The Hezbollah is an international organization funded 100% by Iran. They are Shiite Muslims. They are local Lebanese people. The fact that they operate internationally is irrelevant. They're Lebanese. There are no foreign insurgents here. It's not like Iraq, it's not like Afghanistan. They have full, absolute, total control of this area. They own all the infrastructure. There are no Lebanese policemen. There are no Lebanese courts of law or judges. There are no prisons here. You do something they don't like, you don't wake up tomorrow. They own all the schools. They're Hezbollah schools, not Lebanese. All the hospitals are Hezbollah hospitals, and all that entails: doctors, nurses, medicines, administration. Same thing with the schools, the syllabuses, the buying of the books, the administration, the teachers. Everything is Hezbollah here. Sewage, water, electricity, road building, construction. Everything here is owned and operated by the Hezbollah, and because there is no industry and there's virtually no agriculture, all of their money comes from Iran. You need to understand the basic truth that Iran, since 1979, because they support Syria and the Hezbollah and the Hamas and other terrorist organizations, have been, along with their own nuclear program, they have been impoverishing their people. And I'm not a prophet, but I don't think the Iranian people are going to put up for that for very long. They're not happy campers. But the government is implacable so far, and they are spreading international jihad, world Islamic domination. The Hezbollah is an integral part of that. We have their school books and we know what they're teaching. The Messiah will not come until everybody in the world is a Muslim. Anyone who is not a Muslim, or not good enough a Muslim, is called a heretic. Anyone who is not a Muslim is called an infidel, and there is no moral sin against killing infidels. Men, women, and children. You're either one of us. You have two choices if you're not. You either convert or you die. Their world is very black and white, no problem. That's the way they live. This area used to be 50% Christian until 11 years ago when the Hezbollah took over. In the last 11 years, from 50%, the Christians have dwindled to 3%. There's no more church bells here. No more. They're gone. I don't mean murdered. They're gone. They've either gone up north or they've left the country entirely. There are large Christian Lebanese communities all over the world, France, Canada, United States, Australia, wherever they could get the hell out. Those who couldn't have gone up further north where there are larger concentrations of Christians and they feel safer. You need to understand that these people down here hate everybody who's not them. Equally. They hate the Jews, they hate the Christians, they hate the Shintos, they hate the Buddhists, they hate the Zen, they hate whoever. The Messiah won't come till everybody's a Muslim. The only foreign people down here are Iranian military advisors. Now, since last year there were elections in Lebanon and the Hezbollah gained power, they control the Lebanese government. They have the power of veto. How did they get the power of veto? They simply mobilized their militia, invaded Beirut, and occupied it for 4 days until the government said, okay, you can have the power of veto. And what that means in essence, because the Lebanese army itself is 80% Shiite, so with that, plus the power of veto, there can never be a situation where a government in Lebanon is going to tell the army, go do something against the Hezbollah. Not going to happen. And to that extent, the Hezbollah rules in Lebanon. Lebanon is no longer a sovereign Christian country in the Middle East. In the middle 70s, there was a horrible 18-year civil war in Lebanon. And they slaughtered each other by the tens of thousands, Christians and Muslims and Druze. And the Christians lost big time. And they're gone. And I doubt sincerely if there's more than 15% Christians in all of Lebanon. It is ruled and run and operated, and the majority of the population are Shiites. And all the Shiites vote for the Hezbollah. That's what we have here. You'll notice here in the back, these villages, these homes, you'll notice there's no glass in the windows. You'll notice that some of the buildings are incomplete. Both of these factors are on purpose. It's not because they don't have money, and it's not because they're masochists and they like the cold. Every single one of these buildings is a potential firing platform. They shoot at us from the rooms and the balconies and the rooftops. All these hills are dug into. There are underground firing positions, bunkers, arms caches. There's hundreds of tons of missiles here all over the place. You need to understand that's the way they live. Not everybody who lives here is a warrior. You can be a plumber and your wife a nurse and you have 3 kids and you'll have 7 missiles in the house. Comes wartime, you'll grab your wife and kids and you'll hide in the corner and the Hezbollah militiaman will come into your house and shoot off the missiles or the rockets. Then he'll go in a trap door underground and he'll come out in another house and do the same thing again. You have to understand that that's the way they choose to live, because there are democratic elections here. Of course, they're enforced by force of arms, but nevertheless there are elections here, and because the Christians are all gone from fear of death, all the Shiites here are very happy. It's the first time in their history. They all have schools, they have jobs, there's money in their pocket, they have hospitals. They don't care that the Hezbollah wants to destroy Israel and conquer the whole rest of the world. Okay. In the meantime, I'm happy. That's the way it is here, guys. Now, further north, the Hezbollah, because of the money from Iran, has purchased all the available land in Lebanon. There are no nature reserves. There are no public lands. There's no parks. Everything belongs to the Hezbollah. Everything. And they run it. That's our situation. Now he asked me to tell you a little bit about our specific history here. You need to understand that the Palestinians tried a revolt in Jordan in the 1970s, and the then King Hussein turned his Bedouin army loose on them, and there was tens of thousands of murdered Palestinians. And that's called Black September. You've all heard of the Black September terrorist organization, or a lot of you have heard of that, but that's where it comes from, September of 1970. And they got kicked out of Jordan. And the Arab League decided that the only place for them to go was in Lebanon, because Lebanon's Christian. I'll get into that in a moment. So they stuck them here, tens of thousands of Palestinian refugees. Very active. The Lebanese government said, okay, come down here to the south and go fight against Israel, because that's what you're supposed to do. And so this whole area, including the Shiites and the Christians, were occupied by the Palestinian Sunni terrorist organizations. And they terrorized the local people here, raped, murdered, pillaged, did what they wanted here. And they weren't nice. On top of that, in our area from 1970 to 1982, we had over 24,000 rocket attacks. In 1982, we'd had enough. The Israeli government went to war, our first Lebanese war in 1982, to clear out the Palestinians, which we did. We went all the way up to Beirut, cleared out the Palestinians. You see these launchers here on the bunker. This is the homemade stuff that the Palestinians were shooting at us in the 24,000 rocket attacks. Homemade. They still kill you. And when we went in there and cleared them out, we brought them home, these things home as souvenirs, so our children who had to live underground for 12 years could see what was shooting at them. And that's our souvenirs from that time of the Palestinians. Also in 1986, of them came through the fence. They came into the kibbutz and they captured a baby house. And they killed our guard. They killed a soldier. They wounded 2 others. They killed a 1.5-year-old baby, smashed his head with a rifle butt because he was crying and he didn't like it. And they held everybody hostage. We had a little gunfight in our backyard. It wasn't very nice.
I don't know if they're familiar with the Beit Yelad.
It doesn't matter. In our days, in the old days in the kibbutz, children did not live with their parents. They lived in creches according to age groups. And therefore they could go into the children's house at night and find all the children sleeping together. Okay? That's the way the old traditional kibbutz was. That the kibbutz was the parents, the kibbutz was the family, and the children did not sleep with their parents. They slept in creches, according to the age groups. In any case, it took us over 16 hours overnight to clear out these people, and it was the first time that dogs were used in a hostage situation. Israel had just finished its first course in training the dogs. It's called Hoketz. And they used our situation as a trial. You know, okay, we finished training the dogs. These guys are holding them hostage. Let's see if the dogs are, if it works. And it worked splendidly. Within 20 seconds, they were all dead, the Palestinian terrorists. We had no more injuries. And anyone who is familiar with the Israeli army today, there's dogs all over the place. They do all kinds of things. They're really good. And they save lives and they save a lot of work for the soldiers. They're marvelous. But here at Misgavam in 1980 was the first time the dogs were used. Now, in 2006, our second Lebanese war was started because previous to that, by the way, up till 2006, we did not have a tourist industry here. Since the year 2000, between 2000 and 2006, in the year 2000, Israel retreated. We had occupied this area for 18 years. From 1982 until 2000, the Israeli army was in South Lebanon, making sure that terrorists couldn't shoot those rockets at us. In the year 2000, we came back to the border. From 2000 until 2006, the Hezbollah, who had taken over in the area, peppered us whenever they wanted to. Mortars, rockets, ambushes. We had no tourism here. You couldn't come here, guys. This is a closed military zone. They're watching us. They film us. They photograph. They record. They watch us watching them watching us. They're here. This is very serious shit here. People die here. It looks all pastoral and nice and calm, but it's not. I mean, it is calm now. That's why you're allowed to be here. Go into that in a minute. In 2006, they decided to abduct soldiers, and they did an ambush on a patrol that came through this road down here and went across. This road down here goes, by the way, from Syria all the way to Rosh Nikra. And underneath the Azor of Dovev and Avivim is where they had this ambush. And as a diversionary tactic, people, you have to understand, all of a sudden, one day, in the, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, the whole world opens up. Rockets on everybody. Kiryat Shmona and Haifa and the Krayot and everywhere, man. And they shot. That, we had to retaliate, and that was the reason for the war in 2006. 34 days, 24/7, our particular kibbutz here at Misgavam, we were shelled. They know us, we know them. We're on the map, and we're zeroed in and targeted. Fortunately for us, we're on a very narrow line, and they can't look into us as we look into them, and so they can't make corrections, and most of their stuff goes over. We had enough, 25 fell inside. After a week and a half, we decided that this was serious, and we evacuated the women and children. The men stayed here. Every kibbutz and moshav in Israel has its own home guard. Older people with combat experience are sent home with their equipment, and our responsibility is from the fence inward, and the Israeli army is from the fence outward. I mean, we couldn't stop a division, but hopefully a division doesn't move. What's the word? Anonymously. You know what I mean? I mean, you can see that coming, and so our hope is that the Israeli army stops them before they get to the fence. But infiltrations of any kind of size through the Israeli army into the that's our responsibility. And twice the Hezbollah sent commando units to do sabotage work here, and they didn't get home, and they didn't try the third time. And so, like I said before, they know us, we know them. There's no love lost here. I don't hate anybody. I'm not anti anybody, but these guys tried to kill me for 34 days, and I reserve the right to be pissed off at them, and I reserve the right to choose my friends. I can't choose my family. Can't choose that, but I can choose my friends, and I choose not to have these people as my friends. I'll shoot them in a minute. That's me personally, and I reserve that right. They tried to kill me, they never said sorry. In any case, that's kind of our history here. Let me tell you a little about myself, and then we'll go into question times. You can ask me what you want. As I said before, my name is Aryeh ben Yaakov. You can tell by my English I'm not a native-born Israeli. I was born 71 years ago in 1940 in Cleveland, Ohio.
That's right.
Nice place to be from. In 1961, at the age of 21, I decided to come to Israel. And I said goodbye to my family, and I made Aliyah. After 8 months, I realized I made a good choice. I became a citizen. I joined the Israeli army. I was in the Tzanchanim and the paratroopers. Got discharged in 1965. Toured around for a place to live. Found my mountaintop. I've been here ever since, and nobody gets me off my mountain. And I've been spoiled by living here because I can't stand the heat and humidity anywhere else. And if I have something to do, up till 10 o'clock in the morning. After 10 o'clock in the morning, I don't leave my mountain. And I can't stand humidity, drives me crazy. The combination of heat and humidity drives me nuts. So I'm spoiled living up here. In any case, I can't see any reason for living anywhere else. I'm a happy camper. My working life, I'm a farmer. Down below in our fields, as I said before, and we grow cotton and wheat and sweet corn and sunflower for the seeds for the oil, and cherry tomatoes, and anything that grows in the ground we can make money out of legally. Took you guys a while, but okay. Thanks.
I just got it.
You also have to know that as a paratrooper I have served in all the wars of Israel, frontline combat role. I was with the paratroopers in the liberation of Yerushalayim in '67. After that was called a war of attrition. 2 parts. The first part was against the Jordanians. Second part was against the Egyptians on the Bar-Lev Line, Suez Canal. 1973 I was called up again. I was in the 4th assault boat to cross the Suez Canal into Egypt, and I had to live in that shithole for 5.5 months. I hate Egypt. Egyptians are nice people, and I like them. Serious. Their country is a shithole. It's hot and humid and flat and ugly and dust and dirt and fleas and flies and sand, and besides the Nile there's no rivers, there's no mountains and no forests, and no, it's not a good place for a nice Jewish boy to be. And I hate that place. And I'll never go back there of my own free will. And I thank God every morning that he got Moses and took us the hell out of there. And I feel sorry for the 85 million people that have to live in the shit they live in. Don't laugh. I've seen the way they live, guys. You haven't. The only way you've ever seen that is in documentary films. You have no idea what poverty is like. They live in shit. They eat off the ground in dirt and dust and filth, and they sleep on the dirt. I've seen the villages. In Cairo itself, they have the finest Islamic university in the world. The Cairo University. Over 60% of graduates don't have jobs. It's no surprise they've had their revolution. The only surprise for me is that it took them so long. I was there in '73, '74, and I saw the way they lived, and I said, why are you people living like this? That's my surprise. I feel sorry for them. I truly, honestly do. I know God created everybody. Everybody has a right to live. We're all human beings, and no human being should live like that. Unfortunately, in the Islamic world, there is no infrastructure of democracy and freedom, and I'm very pessimistic about the outcome of their revolution. The army still has control over the country, and at some stage they're going to get pissed off and they're going to start breaking heads. That's a shame. Until they change the way they function, that's the way it is. But that's unfortunate. Like I say, I like the Egyptians. Now, my 4th war was here in Lebanon, 1982. I told you before that Israel occupied South Lebanon from 82 till 2000. I served from 82 to 89 in South Lebanon. I could be a tour guide. I don't want to be. 1989, I got too old and I was sent back to the Home Guard. Lebanon is a gorgeous, beautiful country. It used to be called the Switzerland of the Middle East. Mountains and forests and rivers. It's a gorgeous place. The people are shits. I saw what they did to each other for 18 years in their civil war. They slit each other's throats, the Christians and the Muslims. Men, women, and children, man, washed themselves in the blood. Fucking barbarians. Told you before, I'll choose my friends. These are not my friends. But I love their country. Beautiful country. Beautiful country. Anyway, that's my history. And that's enough to give you a background of some of the things when I'm going to answer you and your questions. I need to have a little preamble here. I'm telling you, I do not hate anybody. I'm not against Islam. Don't hate Muslims. Don't hate Arabs. Don't hate anybody. We are all God's children. Schizophrenically, I have vowed that Hitler was the last time Jews are victims. Nobody screws around with me anymore. I do not walk this earth by your leave, sir. Nobody is my boss. Nobody is my patron. I am a free human being here, living in my home, in my land, and what I have learned is that you don't have to hate somebody to shoot them. I'll shoot anybody who comes after me. I don't care who they are. Hitler was the last time the world screws around with the Jews. That's a vow. I am proud to be a Jew and of my 4,000 years of history. We are not second class to anybody in this world. And we are not going to fail here. He did not allow us to live these 4,000 years and survive the Holocaust and rebuild our country and our home, in our land, to be wiped out. This is the time, and this is now. And I'll fight to the death for that. And these animals have to learn that. They do this 5 times a day. They think it helps them, but it doesn't.
And then night.
They're praying. Call to prayer. As long as they teach hate, they will never ever win. Hate will never win. I don't care how many millions of them there are. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care how much they threat. As long as they function in hate, they will. And here in Israel, we've learned how to do that. And I am proud of that. I do not apologize for my successes. I have no guilt trips. Don't try to lay any on me. We've done nothing wrong here. We have only ever defended ourselves. We have never declared war on anybody, but we're not going to let anybody treat us like slaughtered animals. Don't screw with us anymore. That's what my shirt says. Be nice. You don't want to be nice? Us Jews have learned how to not be nice. We do it very well, thank you. God did not create us to be nebbishes. They're done with that. And I don't apologize to anybody for anything. Now, the other preamble is when we ask the questions, when I open this up to question time, you need to understand 2 things. This is not and I refuse to argue with anybody. Put it in a question. You don't like my answer? Tough. Argue amongst yourselves in the bus. Not with me. I'm not here to change your minds about anything. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to give you my truth and the way I see the world. You may have noticed I'm politically incorrect. I'll tell you exactly what I think and why, so it's a good opportunity for you people to ask questions about stuff you want to know about, and I'll tell you. No argument, no discussion. Yeah.
Okay, I have a fascinating discussion. I appreciate your point. I have a couple questions.
Volume.
Volume?
Yeah, they want to hear what you're asking.
Okay, couple questions. First of which, so I assume, as you said, you live in a very sensitive area, and you have residents of 122, or you said, is there a
200.
200. Is there a screening process
for the people living here?
Yes.
Yeah, there is now, and that's been changed over, in other words, in the old traditional way. In the traditional way, you would come, you would say, I want to be a member of the kibbutz, and we would say, fine, tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, get up, we're out in the fields and we're working, and you would stay for 3 months, and then we would come and ask you again, you still want to be? And you'd say yes, and if we liked you still, and we'd say, okay, and you were a candidate for a year, and then after the year was over, if we wanted you still and you wanted us still, we would have an election and you'd be voted in as a member. Today it doesn't quite work that way. We still have to like you, but you have to be able to support yourself. We can't put you to work in our fields. Second question.
So that leads into my second question. As you said again, it's a sensitive area and you've been shelled with rockets and whatnot. How would that affect, the output of your fields and in turn your revenue?
Obviously, tourism is closed. The Army shuts the roads down. You guys can't come. Nobody wants to send death letters home to your parents. And so you couldn't come here. So the roads are closed and that's finished. As far as the agriculture is concerned, guys, in 2006, we went to work every day. Everybody went to work. The mail was delivered every day except Friday and Saturday. We had fresh eggs and milk. The store was open all day long. The rubbish was collected twice a week. These bastards shoot. Doesn't make any difference. We carry on our lives. No fear. They don't stop us from doing anything.
And then my last question, I'm sorry for taking...
It's all right. I got time. I'm here all day.
So you had mentioned something with Iran coming to power in 1979. I imagine it has something to do with Ayatollah Khomeini.
Yeah.
Taking power. And then recently you discussed that they're kind of getting fed up with Hezbollah.
The people. I didn't say Iran is fed up with the Hezbollah.
Okay.
I said the Iranian people. Not all of them. Not all of them. Anyway, I hope it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Whatever happens.
Thank you.
Yes, and then you.
So, on a note, so obviously you're living here, so at any point, obviously, they can shoot, they can do whatever they want.
Except we're in the loop with the Army will tell us. No surprises. In other words, in 2006, as an example, when I said suddenly the whole sky opened up, 2.5 weeks before that, the Army already told us they're going to be trying something. And we were already in alert, and tourism was closed, and the roads were closed. So we knew they were going to do something. We didn't know exactly when and what hour, but we knew they were onto something.
But like, it's not, I mean, no one can just be maybe naive, but no one can just like run up near the border and just...
Sure they could,
They could.
but they don't. You need to understand the Hezbollah are not anarchists. They're very well disciplined. They're all trained in Iran militarily. They're all well paid. They take orders just like the Israeli army takes orders.
Why would they tell you, though, they're gonna...
They don't tell us. Our intelligence knows. They don't tell us.
I have a
The
follow-up.
Israeli army knows. Don't worry about how they know. They know.
Follow up to that question. So in those 2 weeks, did you make an act as if you didn't know? Because obviously they're watching you too. So, so did you?
We don't do anything on the kibbutz.
Yeah.
We do our own thing. I told you, the Army's responsibility is from the fence outward. Whatever the Army did or didn't.
Okay.
As far as the kibbutz is concerned, until somebody actually lets the shell loose, we carry on, and we still carry on, even when they let loose.
But didn't they notice that tourists weren't coming anymore?
They know they're
So what?
Okay.
They have their own plans. They don't rearrange their lives in the fact of what's going on here on top of our mountain.
Okay.
Go ahead, and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead. Yeah. I can't answer that. I've been here for 50 years. I've been through so much shit. I don't have a list. I do what needs to be done, and I thank God every day He allows me to continue living and living my life. Absolutely. I've been able to live the life that I made. It's my movie. I'm not living somebody else's movie. And I write the scenes I play in. And I thank God for that ability every day. I'm a free human being. Yeah.
Why the decision to allow tourists in 2006, and how does that affect your kibbutz at all?
What, if tourists don't come?
No, having tourists sort of in your space.
Having tourists here is wonderful. We make money off of this. Your organization pays us money for your group to be here. Lovely. You know, bring more. Yeah.
Do you foresee the Christianity dwindling more than it already has?
In Lebanon? Yeah.
And what do you foresee happening because of that? Like 10, 50, 100, whatever it may be?
Nothing. The Muslims have Lebanon, and there isn't a Christian force in the world that's going to take it from them. Christians can't even protect Europe. Have their own homes. They're not going to come here, and it's not going to happen. Yeah.
I'm sure this is ignorant, but I've heard that the Jewish people started in Israel, many, many, many years ago, and then left and sort of
They didn't leave, they were kicked out by the Romans. And now we've come back.
I heard when they...
Judea was destroyed.
Yeah.
Okay, but Jews always lived here. This is Eretz Israel.
I've heard when we came back, though, that we did so partly forcefully. That didn't happen.
No.
Okay.
Forcefully only in retaliation. They shot at us, we shot back.
But we didn't just take land.
Of course not. Oh, yeah. In 1948, yeah. We declared independence, they declared war, invaded us, 5.5 armies. We kicked their ass and they retreated and we advanced. Yeah, then we took land. So what? Don't make war on me, you won't lose.
Well said. That there was, that we
up until 47. Up until 48. We owned, deeds, purchased all the land. With our settlements, we declared independence. The Arabs declared war. They lost, and we gained. Well, I'm going to give it back to them. They're still making war. We screw them. I don't owe them anything.
How do you feel about the Sinai Peninsula?
How do I feel about
the Sinai Peninsula, giving it back?
Sinai Peninsula, I don't care. If it bought us 40 years peace with Egypt, that's cool. They can have Sinai. Yeah.
Do you necessarily see Islam as a religion of hate, or is it Shiite Islam, or is it Hezbollah?
I don't really bother my little gray cells about that. Like I told you before, I don't hate anybody. I don't care about that. You come after me, I'll shoot you dead. I don't care who you are. That's all. I'm not interested in their religion. I don't care about that shit. I care about me and my family and my people and my country. I'm very narrow that way. I only have a few gray cells left, and I don't worry about wasting them about stuff that's way out there. I'm real focused. Don't mess with me.
When you made Aliyah, was it to protect Israel, to protect the Jewish people?
Yes. Guys, for the first time in 2,000 years, our generation has the choice of where to invest your lives. You guys are Americans by accident, don't you realize that? Your great-grandparents ran away from the Cossacks or whoever the hell was trying to kill them, and you got to America. But 4,000 years history, you're Jews. And that's more important than anything else. And for me, after 2,000 years and after that bastard Hitler, I have a chance to build a home for the Jewish people in Eretz Israel, not Uganda and not anywhere the hell else. This is Eretz Israel. Why would I waste my life doing something else? That's my only motivation. It still is.
Have your views hardened over time?
Yeah. But no hate. They've hardened to the fact that you make gestures and you try to be nice to these people, and they look at that as a weakness and they come at you harder. The only thing to do with bullies is to stand up and kick them in the balls. It's the only thing to do with bullies, and these people act like bullies. The only thing to do with bullies is to stand up and break their bones. You show them any kind of weakness, they'll eat you. Yeah. Go ahead, ask.
I know you spent the first 5 minutes of this talk establishing this, but can you quickly review the borders of what I'm physically looking at right now?
Well, you are physically looking at Lebanon.
So this is the moment over.
Behind you, around, the mountain is Syria.
Syria.
In the middle is Israel.
Oh, I see.
Okay, clear?
Yes.
Now, everything you're looking at here is Lebanon. Yes.
So, personal question. You said you grew up in Ohio. When did you, or how did you come about this life?
Guys, I was born in 40. The Holocaust is not history book to me. Not that I went through the Holocaust, obviously, but as close enough, and relatives, and I mean, that's part of my upbringing. Also, you may have remembered in your studies the McCarthy era, and there was a lot of anti-Semitism, and that was in my teens, right? I realized that America, the only thing America has to offer, not the only thing, but the thing that America has to offer besides freedom and democracy is money. And I realized that it makes no difference whatsoever how much money you make and how successful you are. To millions of people, you're a dirty Jew. And it suddenly clicked in my head, why waste my life here when I'll go where all the rest of the dirty Jews are, and I'll make my own life and screw the rest of the world. I don't need, America's not the only place to make a living. We got 7 million people here who live very well, thank you, thank God. Now what do I have to waste my life there for where I get spit on and called? Nobody calls me a dirty Jew here. I've got everything America has, guys. I have freedom, I have democracy, and we're all Jewish. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Why waste your life anywhere else? Any more questions, please? Yes and yes.
If there's anything that you want us to take away from this to bring back to America, like, is there anything, one specific thing you
Yeah. When you get off the airplane in Ben Gurion Airport and you get the stamp in your passport, you're not coming to a foreign country, you're coming home. All of you have relatives, you know people live here in Israel. This is your home. This is where you belong. Is creating and maintaining a home for the Jewish people in Eretz Israel. Everything else is bullshit. Like I said before, we've never declared war on anybody. We're only defending ourselves. I personally, and many millions of people here in Israel, have vowed that the Jewish people will never have to be refugees. You will never be in DP camps. You will never have care packages. You will never have to be strangers in a strange land. We are maintaining a home for you. I personally hope you choose to come. If not, according to scripture anyway, you're going to get kicked in the ass and you're all going to be coming home. So rather than being kicked out of where you are, realize the facts for the way they are and come here willingly. But that's all we're doing here is making sure the Jewish people have a place to go to. That's what I want you to take with you, that there's a home here for us. Yeah, anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I have 3 questions.
Opa! Go ahead.
Is there, with it being so watched and everything, is there a synagogue here?
No.
Okay. So you guys
For me, Eretz Israel is a synagogue.
Okay.
I don't live in the diaspora where I need to have a synagogue. I can pray anywhere I want here.
Okay.
Second question.
Shot and or killed someone?
Absolutely.
Well, you know. Maybe
That's all right. It's a good question. I know of 15 at least.
Wow. Okay.
So other times it was in the nighttime. I don't know whether it was me or the next guy, whoever shot these people. I know of 15 that I looked at, put them on my target, and dropped them.
Okay. And then can guests or like tourists stay here when it's not?
No. We have a, not we, but there's an ownership of a bed and breakfast thing, and you can call up and rent a room and whatever.
That's in here.
Inside the kibbutz, yeah, but it's not owned by us.
Okay.
I don't promote it. Yeah, okay. The last 2, because then we, you want up there? All right, we'll do him first, last 3.
It seems so fake.
So what?
It seems so fake. There's not much.
Fake?
Yeah, there's not much.
Look, it's a rural community. If you were a kilometer away and looked at the kibbutz, it's the same thing. There's nothing here. There's no shops. There's no stores. Nobody's walking around the streets. There's nowhere to go. People get up. They go to work. The kids are at school. The women are at home cleaning. Let me point out something. You see, to the left of the mountain, out in the back, there's a whole bunch of big buildings way out there. I mean, a large number of buildings way out in the back there. That's called Nabatea. There's over 35,000 people living here. If you went there today, there's shops and markets and stores and stalls and people walking. These are rural communities. Go anywhere in the world in rural communities. Nobody's walking around. There's hundreds of people live here. But there's nothing to walk around for. There's no shops. There's no dial of pizza. There's no afternoon luncheon with the girls after the beauty salon. You know, that doesn't happen here in this part of the world. What was the, yeah?
You like the Cleveland Cavaliers and you hate LeBron James?
I like the Cleveland Cavaliers. I do not hate LeBron James.
You don't hate anybody.
I don't hate anybody. He's a diva. He makes decisions. It's his life. It's his decisions. Well, why should I hate him?
Do you think that America or other countries, their support or lack of support matters?
To me, no. But I'm narrow-minded. I believe that God is protecting us, and I personally don't give a damn about the rest of the world. And if they want to support us, they will be blessed. If they want to curse us, they will be cursed. God promised that to Abraham. And so far, everybody who's been trying to muck around with us is suffering more than we are.
Yeah, look at the shirt.
And so I don't care. I don't worry about the rest of the world. Don't give a damn. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for your attention. Remember what I said. Argue amongst yourselves in the bus. Come back. I promise we'll be here. There's a home for you here. God bless.
Thank you.